Okay, well, hi everyone. I'm sorry there's a small difference between what you have on the program and what I've got here. We're supposed to talk about digital entertainment, but apparently there are a lot of game developers in the room. Can you just raise the hand, those of you who are into game design or game developers? Okay, it's about half. So I'm going to adapt the presentation. First of all, my name is Djamil Kemal. I've been in the game industry for about 17 years, um, and I've done very different kind of games. I began at the developer side with games such as Half-Life, for instance, that you might have heard of, or games like Homeworld, or games for adults who likes to shoot and so on. But later, I also worked on the indie game side and as a developer. And we developed different kind of games. This one is called Amy, but we also created kid games with original franchises. We also worked for other people, for Ubisoft and Spielberg, for instance, for Disney. And we also worked something like many times ago. I was almost a kid. It was something in 2002. I think we launched the first mainstream ARG, which is alternate reality game. You know, it's a game in which you mix reality and fiction. And I think it was really the first time when you had this kind of thing for a very wide audience. Recently, 2 years ago, we launched Altmind, and the press said it was one of the most ambitious transmedia project in the world. So it's not me, it's the press, and I didn't design it, so I just worked on it, so I can say that. In Altmind, it was a game plus a movie plus a series of documentaries plus a website, series of websites, plus geolocation games and so on. So it's something very, very broad. I've also worked on TV series. I mean, games for TV series. Braco in France is one of the most popular thriller show. And I worked on this, which is, mastic. This thing that you use to build the joints in your bathrooms. And the question was how to tell a story about that and how to make it funny and how to make it appealing. It was a challenge, to be honest with you. And at the end of the day, we did that. So I think it's fair to say that I've got some kind of insight about what is storytelling in video game and in digital entertainment. So this is for the good news. I hope that some of you are designing things, and if you are doing, you might think that's great because this guy is saying that he's got a lot of experience, and he's going to give us the silver bullet. And that the second part of the sentence, you might end up like this because there's no silver bullet. And the thing is that if I knew how to do a good interactive storytelling, I would be very rich. I would write a lot of books and it would be really great. So why am I here? So I still want you to get off this place with a few things. First of all, I want you to be able, on a very practical way, to have an idea of where to start and what to care about. I want you to be able to on a very pragmatical way to analyze what you're doing, whether it's a video game or it's a documentary or it's even some kind of advertising, and try to make it more interactive. So I'm going to give you 10 tips, and I'll try to make it short so that we'll be able to exchange. We're talking about interactivity, and we'll try to make this interactive. But I'd like to begin with one thing. Why are you here, and why am I talking about interactive storytelling? Um, Basically, why you should care, and why am I trying to do this for so many years? The first reason that people will bring you is that if you don't do this, you're going to die. It's not very refreshing. As an incentive. And the reason why they tell you that, and I think it's true, is because all the big guys have verticals, which means that the people like Netflix, Amazon's, and recently 2 days ago, Microsoft and Yahoo just announced that they're going to create their own programs. Amazon is still doing it, Netflix. So all the big guys who used to be in the entertainment are now going into the interactive entertainment. So it has an impact on your audience because they are used to having great stories, told in some kind of interactive ways. So this is the threat. I think it's not only a threat. In fact, why does it work? Uh, I don't know. How many of you guys have heard of a book called Brain Fluence? Okay, so there's no one, so I'm happy. I've got something to say that you had never heard of. Recently, which is to say 3 years ago, there was studies about how the brain works. And we all know that stories are things that we all like, and from the cave age, to now. But we didn't know why people loved stories so much. And now we think that we know. Scientists think that stories are hardwired in our brain. It's not something that it's not only about culture. It's really about the way our brain it works. When we were cavemen, basically, my family told me, "Be careful, don't eat this red fruit because if you eat it, you're going to die." And the reason why we're alive and that we evolved is that because we're able to tell stories to each other. So, we're talking about interactive stories, and this is the last thing. You want to make money out of it. It works. You want to make money. So the three things that you might, the three reasons why you might care is first because there's a real threat. Second, because it works, and third, because it will give you the opportunity to live, and to make money. Money is not the ultimate goal, but sometimes it helps. So there's always a but. In all good stories, there's an enemy, and here the enemy is what we call the balance. What is the balance here? We're talking about interactive and stories. So the good thing about interactive stories is that they both in interactivity, games, and story, there's something that we like, which is conflict. A good story is a story that is built with conflict. And one way to describe a story is a series of conflicts that makes your main protagonist evolves so that he becomes his true self. It's the way that people describe stories. Um, so when you tell a story or when you design some kind of interactive, you want to reach what we call the flow. And I'm really sorry, I'll try to pronounce the name. It's Csikszentmihalyi's theory. I don't know if many of you are familiar with this. Okay, so we're trying to tell a story in a way that is interactive. So you see that it's a problem because if I tell you a story, you listen to the story, and if I ask you to do something, it's really hard to create the story. So we try to do something where you feel what we call the flow. What is the flow? So this guy, Christian Mihaly, is a scientist who interviewed many people from different perspectives, violinists, fighters, soldiers, people who are used to do trekking, extreme trekking. And what did they ask them? He asked them, when are you happy and when do you feel this moment where you love what you do, when you feel this thrill? Basically, he describes all his interviews on two dimensions. The first one are the skills, and the other one are the challenges. So basically, it's very simple. If you want to feel the flow, you've got to have this balance between the skills and the challenges. If the skills are very, very strong and the challenges are low, you've got some kind of boredom, okay? And of the extreme, if the challenges are very high and the skills are low, you've got some kind of anxiety. So what has it? Where can you use this in interactive storytelling? Well, what you want to do when you build an interactive storytelling is to reach the flow. and the flow, which is, this good mix between the challenge and the skills, can be brought both by the interactivity and the storytelling. So I was telling you that we're going to make it interactive. So I'm going to ask a question, and we're going to vote. In interactive storytelling, you've got two things. You've got storytelling and interaction. So I'm going to ask you a question. How many people here have, even once in their life, opened a book that talks about web development, game development, coding, art? How many? Can you raise the hand? Okay, which is about 90%. Now, another question. How many of you have opened a book at least once in their lives that explains how to write a good story? Okay, we've got something like 20%, well, 10%. Uh, my belief is that if you want to learn how to create a good interactive story, you've got first to learn how to write a story. So the first tip is learn classic storytelling. Maybe you're not going to spend 10 years with it, but I think this is very, very important. Um, if I say Campbell, usually it's a question that I ask, and people come back with the name of a soup. Maybe you've heard of Andy Warhol Campbell. Well, yes, if you've got, but the truth is that I'm not talking about this Campbell. I'm talking about another Campbell, and this guy is not the Andy Warhol one. His name is Joseph Campbell. This guy wrote a book called "The Hero with Thousand Faces," and basically, I don't like rules and methods and so on, but I strongly suggest that if you haven't read it already, you write it down and you check it out. Basically, this guy analyzed many many myths in the history of mankind, in the Western civilization, in the Eastern civilization, in the past and the future, and basically he just realized that most of our stories are based on one simple structure, and this structure is divided into different steps. So the first step is the call to action. You remember you've read or you've seen the Lord of the Rings. You've got Gandalf getting to Bilbo and saying, "Hey guy, let's go to the adventure." This is the call to action. And then Bilbo says, "Oh no, I'm not really into this. I'm a small I'm a hobby. We're not into the adventure. But okay, I'm going to do this. This is the second step. It is he's crossing a threshold." And then there's the first challenge, the first big fight. You remember with the Matrix, for instance, the first time when he's got to confront with his first enemy. And usually, there's one part in the story when there's a temptation. Oh, take the ring. You'll be so powerful if you use the ring. Or, you shouldn't do this because if you don't do this, you're going to be so likable and so lovable. It's a movie with Charlton Heston where he becomes, the man who's loved by everyone. So in most of the stories, even in the Bible, you've got this. You've got the temptation. And after the temptation, you've got the dark moment. In all the action movies, you've got a part when Batman is in a very very bad situation. He's going to be dead. He's almost dead, but he's not going to die. Then he comes over this, and he goes to the final conflict. Batman's is the man. He makes it, and he go back to his place. People loves him and so on. So of course, all stories are not made like this, and it will be horrible to say that if you want to be a good writer or a good script writer, you've got to take the same old rules. But the truth is that most of them are based on this kind of structure. So even if you don't do them, it's a good thing to know them. Two books that I strongly recommend. The first one is about the theory of script writing, which is called Story by Robert Mike Key. And it's a very, very good book with analysis of sequences of a great movie called Casablanca. second by second, explaining why and what. And the other one is a book by John Truby that is for me more practical. So the first tip was to learn how to write classic stories. So you might tell me, yes, but I'm doing Facebook games, or I'm doing an ad for a mastic, or I'm doing a free-to-play game. Basically, I've just created a company called Goshaba, and we're doing free-to-play games, like Candy Crush. So what has it to do with storytelling? Um, and I'm going to show you why just later. The second step is learn about movies and series. Movies and series are not the same. And one rule about movies and series are the way they use cameras. The first thing, there are many, many rules. So I'm just giving you an example. One of the rules that you learn when you learn to do filmmaking is, it's one of the many rules, which is the 180-degree rule. It's a rule that tells you that when you have two characters talking, you want them to, you can move your camera, in a 180 degrees angle. But if you move your camera in any direction, if you don't follow the rule, people will not understand who is talking about. So I'm not talking about this rule. I'm just telling you that these rules are really useful. I'm going to show you a few examples just afterward. Another thing that you should try to check out are series, and the difference between a movie and a series and TV series are the way they build characters in a very, very short time. I don't know if you well, most of you have seen Game of Thrones with so many characters. But even if in small and less um, big TV series, the thing that they try to do is to build a character in 20 minutes, which is really a challenge. In a game like The Walking Dead, it's a game from the TV series by Telltale. It's an episode-based game in which every episode brings you new characters. So how did they do to create strong characters in 20 minutes? So it's something that I'm not going to explain right now, but I strongly suggest that you check this out. So you might tell me, yes, but back in the time, people succeeded with things like this, and it was great. I mean, it's still great if it works. Oops. That's called the demo effect. So we'll try another time. Apparently, I've got a problem with the internet, which is a pity because most of my presentation is about videos. Okay, we'll try another way. Oops. So in the story, there's always a bad guy, and there's a good guy. He's a good guy. He's trying to solve this. I'm at Act 2, the bad situation, but I'm going to overcome this, I hope. I would love to describe it, but honestly, it will be painful. Okay, maybe I should try to pass directly on the, oops. Oh, and this is a crash. You didn't see it, but we've got a crash on the computer. And we're talking about interactive storytelling. This is interactive, and this is storytelling. Okay. Okay, we'll try to reboot. Oops. And the suppress is Dell, this one. Okay. Well, it was a nice presentation. I was really happy to see you guys. Okay, I'll try to go directly on YouTube to see if it works like this. Let's try to switch off this. And we'll try to, oops. Okay, copy. And paste. Okay, so apparently it works. Why don't have it on the screen? Sorry? Okay. So, hallelujah. Oh, I say hallelujah, but now we've got the connection problem. Okay, we'll try another way. Uh, well, the video is black, but not that black normally. So let's. Yeah. Oh, okay. You're right. So this is the we're talking about classic storytelling and how people used to bring storytelling. So this is Zelda, and this is how it was the first basically it was the first time when a video game, I mean, one of the first time brought some kind of context and adventure. So you could do that now. I think some people might like it today, but some might not. uh, okay, I'm not going to have it okay. And well, now that I'm kind of very confident, oh I'll try this one. Oops. The other way to use classic structure to tell a story, maybe it's going to work. No? Oh yes. I'm impressed. And I'm going to follow your advice. I'm going to leave it like this for a while to see if it works. But I'm not, that patient kind of guy. So I'm going to do this and copy. Oops. I'm sorry, I'm afraid we're going to do a lot of copy and paste today because I've got something like 30 videos. But one of the most classic example of sandbox game. Do you know what a sandbox game is for those who are not gamers? It's a kind of game that is totally not about storytelling. It's a kind of game in which you can do whatever you want. And one of the big example of sandbox games is Grand Theft Auto. So people used to say, Grand Theft Auto is a sandbox game, and I'm going to give you an example of what they do and how they treat classic storytelling, if it works. Oh, you're right. Sorry. And. I'm sorry for the momentum. It's not the best way to show a video, but I'm afraid I don't have any other solution. But oh, maybe I like this better. Okay, we'll try this. Thank you very much. So, not talking about, oops. Well, we'll try. Oh, sorry, you're there. Oh. I'm asked to wait a few seconds, so I'm asking you to wait for a few seconds. So basically, just what I was wanting to show you is that even in very interactive games and sandbox games such as Grand Theft Auto, you'll see the way that they use classic storytelling and dialogues. If I can, it will be great because there are great dialogues. A few seconds. Well, we might do something else. At this stage, do you have questions about the first part and about the structure and story and something like this? Thank you for helping me, guys. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It, it works? Okay. I love it. There's nothing wrong, but it doesn't work. I love it. Thank you. So there's nothing wrong, so I'll try to make this happen. Okay, there's nothing wrong, but it doesn't work. I screen square, and now the computer is blocked, and it's gone, which is which is great. But there's nothing wrong. Yes, it's what I'm going to do. Yeah. I'm sorry for that. We call that interactive storytelling. That the proof that it really works. Apps. Oops. I don't know if it's the computer or if it's the connection, basically. Oops. Well, normally, it's a great presentation. People like it. It's interactive. You see great videos. Oh, okay. Whoops. Thank you. Yep, there. Thank you. No, not yet. Hmm. So I'm awfully sorry for that, but I say that it's the guy who left who's fully responsible, and maybe he's going to die. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But nothing wrong. I quote. All right. At least we've got the screen now. We'll try to. Hmm. Okay. I'll just try to see whether we've got the internet. If we have the internet, it would be great. Okay, brilliant. So I think that we'll be able to do it. Yes, I hope. Hallelujah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. No, just one thing, please. Sorry, please. I'd like to have the audio, and here it is. Okay. Thank you. So, okay. So, thank you. We're back. So, you remember we were talking about classic storytelling. I was talking about some rules. One of them was the 180,000 rule, degree, and the other one was the classic way that you build dialogue and so on that you learn in the book that I've just shown. This is an example of Grand Theft Auto. It's called Trevor's in Love. Trevor is a nice guy. Trevor is some kind of weirdo guy, some kind of mental problems, and he meets this beautiful girl that he really loves, and he wants to tell her, "I love you" in his own way. This is how he does it.
Deal with this. I don't care what you say. Shut your mouth. Shut it. Shut. Just keep it shut. Oh, you know full well exactly what you didn't say. It's no good. Well, you can be surrounded by your young girls and your threesomes and your parties, and you will be miserable. You could have had it all with
She's
me.
angry, huh?
A beige condo, matching woolen sweaters, walks on the beach, a little dog we lavish too much attention on because I'm too scared of getting fat to get pregnant. Everything. Well, fuck you. And I don't care that we just met last week, all right? Just stop looking at me. Don't look at me. Say something. Oh, I wish you were dead. I really do.
This is Trevor.
Oh, I love you! Oh, let me take you away from all of this!
Stupid psycho!
Remember the rule?
Impregnate my ex,
So the camera is on the right,
Me?
she's on the right.
Me, the psycho? No, you are the craziest fucking chick I've
She's
ever
still on the
met.
right.
I love you!
You're
She's on the left, but the camera have
irrationally
moved,
angry.
and
Nothing
she'll
you say
be
makes
on
any
the right
sense.
for the whole
You
scene.
are completely have no control of your emotions. We have nothing in common.
Oh, baby, we're made for each other!
Prove it on the bike now.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Oh, baby, wait! Look at you.
And we go into a gameplay sequence. Here, this is an example of two rules. The first one is the 180 rule. We'll have check it out in the internet, but basically, trust me, on Word, the way they use the camera to show the character is based on this rule. And the other thing is that it's very classical. You've got some kind of dialogue, then you've got your gameplay or interaction sequence, and it's in a very classic classic way. So it's still possible to do things in a very classic way. And we're talking about the structure. So the first thing is build your own structure when you do something which is interactive, which is could be a game or a documentary or a TV series. Your question is where to put the interactivity, and one of the How do you do this in the meantime? Oops. One of the possibility is to be linear, and I know that many of you think, well, and I read a lot that linearity is horrible. We should not do linearity because linearity is something of the past. I'm not totally. I don't totally agree with this. Let me give you two examples of linear interactivity that works, I think, quite well. The first one is a very old one, which is a game called Another World. I'm going to, oops. So Another World is a typical platform game, and the way they tell the story is mixed between interaction and linear story. So at the beginning of the game, you've got a context, which is the intro scene. You got this guy, a scientist who makes an experiment. I'm not going to fully show it fully, and his experiment fails. Sorry, I'm going to move, and he's sent to a pass. So here I'm using the controller. I'm playing. I'm trying to get rid of those monster, small animals on the ground. But I have full control of what I'm doing. I can go on the left or on the right. I can kill whatever I want, and I've got to avoid the enemies, and at the same time I learn how to use the controls. So it's totally interactive, there's no story at this stage. But at one very precise moment, I've got an interactive element of the story. I've got this enemy that comes, so I still use the controller. I get out of the place, and I'm actually playing, okay? I've got this trick. I think I've died something like 30 times before finding this. And I'm still having the controller, but I've got another interaction with the story in a very linear way. Okay, this is the example. And it was one of the very first game back in the time with such a strong emotional interaction. Today it sounds weird and ugly, but believe me, when I was a kid, it was amazing. It was the first time when people use rotoscopy, which is a very fluid movement. So linearity can be a good thing. Another example is this one. Uh, so people say this is not a game. People say this is an interactive movie.
It's like Aiden.
Sorry.
Now, which is
Hey everyone.
Okay, sorry.
Quiet.
Just up in 35, 47. So this is almost an interactive movie.
A thong, just exactly what I needed.
It's
I
a
can stop
birthday
feeling your
present.
moms.
And improve your chances of finding a decent boyfriend.
My
So-
future lover wants to thank you for making his life more interesting.
She just was given a thong, and this is the hero, the girl that you saw
What
on.
is that?
An old book.
Oh, a book.
It
My God.
smells funky.
It's a really rare collection. Poems by Edgar Allan Poe.
Edgar Allan who?
What, did you steal this from your grandpa's library?
No, and it's really rare.
Yeah, just like your dress.
No, but seriously, is this a joke? I can't believe you came all the way to my birthday party just to give me this old crap.
And she thinks she's so clever. But she's just a little lab rat.
Yeah, it
A
really looks like a
freaky
movie,
little lab
basically.
rat.
And there are
Yeah.
long
She's been
things
following
like
me around
this.
like begging for it.
Oh, and she's a slut too.
I never wanted to invite her. My mom made me.
Yeah, she's a slut.
Just going to make a
Stop.
pause. You remember I was talking about the flow, and in the flow there was this feeling of anxiety and conflict. And I was telling you that you could create anxiety through both the gameplay and the story design. In Another World, the gameplay was really hard. You had to run very fast, and the anxiety came from that. So it was only about the gameplay. Here, in the example that I've just shown you, the anxiety comes from the story.
It's a witch. We should,
So
like,
all the story brings the context
something to her.
to the next interactive thing
Did
to
you
do.
make witches? You burned them.
Ah! Get her! Please!
So
Stop!
Oh, mistress of the obscure darkness, bring forth your
I can
mighty
try
power.
to escape, but then
Please!
my only
let me
interaction
out.
will be how to get
I'm
out
begging you, please
of this
let me
of this closet. So the gameplay, the mere gameplay is I'm in a closet and I've got to open a door. It's not that great, but you've got all the story just before that makes it great because you've got a context. So linearity can be a good solution. Of course, it's not the only one. The other solution to do this is branching. We all dream about movies or video games or documentary in which you're the hero, you can do whatever you want, and you've got tons of branches. Does this exist? Yes. Yes. And most of the time, you've got this in some role-playing games. One of them is an old one called Tactics Augur, and you've got tones and tones and tones and tones of options of path to follow. So I'm just going to show you this. This is your choices of characters in your team, and each one you choose has an impact on the rest of the story. So this is great. This is something that you can do, but why everybody is not doing this? I was talking about money previously, and one of the reasons is this. Let's say that you've got 3 choices, 10 steps. It's a lot of endings. If you've got 10, 20 steps, you've got to code, to write, to design many endings. So not only is it a lot of work, but the worst thing is that what I've learned during my my years of developing games is that when you spend time doing something, when you spend time coding or creating a character or writing a story, you want people to see it. So if you do a game with tons of branches, people will see a tiny part of your work, which is good because you give them a lot of choice and they feel free. The reality is that it's very very hard to have people make different choices. It's the problem that The Walking Dead had when they designed their game. Usually you can have, and I'm going to show you the example, structures like this, in which you've got one path, the other path, and in the middle thing that you can do is, for instance, a game like GTA is like this. You've got these things in which you can randomly go into a place, kill anyone, and so on. But at the end of the day, you will have to do something very precise, and this will trigger an action. And now I think what people are doing more and more, and for reasons, is this, which is to say, a co-branching. So you've got the A path, the B path, and wherever you do A or B, you end up at the same place here. Let me give you an example. Maybe you've played The Walking Dead. So just to give you the context, The Walking Dead is a great video game. If you haven't played it, try it. If you don't like this kind of game, at least try it. It's a game about zombies, but not in terms of fighting, in terms of thrilling and escaping. And you've got to protect a little kid. She's a girl, and you come into this weird farmhouse with very nice people that you've just met. And a few minutes after you've met them, there's something happening. This is what's happening.
Go! I'll get my gun.
Hello, kid. So, what are you going to do? Are you going to save the kid? Or are you going to save the guy? The kid? Raise your hand. Oh, you're horrible, all the others. You will leave a kid dying like this, being eaten by a zombie. And the problem with this kind of choices, and the guy at Telltale faced it, was that when you do a branching system, and I'm going to show you the branch, it's very hard to make it balanced. So these are the choices. You don't need to read all the choices, but basically you've got something happening, then you've got different possibilities. But you see that, in fact, you have the A path and the B path. But during the whole game, you really have the feeling that what you do has a consequence on what's happening next. What is the problem with this? I think this is a great structure, and personally, it's what I would be trying to do if I wanted to tell a story in an interactive way. When you talk with the guys at Telltale, they ask the same question. When I ask you, who are you going to save between the sexy girl, if you're a male, that you've been trying to date for 2 episodes, or the guy that you've seen just once, who's got a hammer, and that's it. When you've got to face the difficult choice, most of us, guys, are going to try to save the girl. It's horrible, but it's like this. And the thing is that you want to create choices that are real choices. And this is where you need, and I'm talking about a story, but it can also be in terms of interactive gameplay. You want to make choices that really make you think, am I going to do this or that? And how do you know that you've got a good choices? Because in your stats, you see that you don't have a 80-20 or a 70 versus 30%. In the first series of The Walking Dead, they had 80 versus 20. Everybody was saving the girl, and everybody was saving the boy. So if you don't want to spend your time designing branches that nobody sees, try to take this into consideration. Oops. And so there's the branching. The fourth tip that I can give you to bring interaction is to use the environment. This is a very old trick. You know, it's really outdated, but I mention it.